Captain Alex Ryder was no stranger to the unknown. As a skilled human explorer traveling through the far reaches of the Andromeda Galaxy, he had faced dangers, discovered strange worlds, and met countless alien species. Yet nothing could have prepared him for the mysterious distress signal that suddenly appeared on his ship's radar one quiet evening. The message came from Valoria, a royal planet whispered about in interstellar legends but rarely seen by outsiders. The signal was faint and coded in a language that only the most advanced translators could begin to decipher. But one thing was clear. Someone on Valoria was asking for help, and it was urgent. Against his better judgment, fueled by curiosity and a sense of duty, Alex set a course for the distant planet. As his sleek ship broke through the shimmering atmosphere of Valoria, he was immediately struck by the breathtaking beauty that surrounded him. Towering crystal spires glittered in the soft light of twin suns, and lush forests stretched as far as the eye could see. Yet beneath this dazzling exterior, something felt off. The air was thick with a quiet tension, like a hidden storm, waiting to break. When he landed near the Great Palace, perched high above the city, he was greeted not by soldiers or servants, but by a single messenger who quickly guided him through grand halls, filled with statues of ancient rulers and walls covered in glowing tapestries, telling stories of Valoria's history. Finally, he stood before the young princess herself, Lair, whose presence was both commanding and strangely vulnerable. Her eyes held a mixture of fear and hope, and her voice trembled slightly as she spoke. Without the formalities he expected, Lyra leaned closer and said the one thing that shocked Alex to his core: "You will share my bed tonight, human?" For a moment, he thought he had misunderstood. Why would a princess ask a stranger, a mere human explorer, to share her bed? It seemed impossible, almost absurd. But the urgency in her gaze told him this was no ordinary request. She explained that Valoria was under threat from an ancient Kirsa, a shadow that could consume everything if it was not stopped. According to their oldest traditions, the bond formed by sharing the royal bed between a Valorian and a human was the only way to keep the darkness at bay. The meaning was symbolic but powerful, a sacred trust that linked to beings across worlds and species. Alex's mind raced with questions and doubts. How could he, a visitor from Earth, play such a crucial role in an alien fate? And why was this curse so terrifying that the princess was willing to break centuries of protocol just to ask for his help? Still, the look in Lyra's eyes held no deception, only desperation and hope. The palace itself seemed to hold its breath. As Alex weighed his choices, if he refused, he might condemn an entire civilization to destruction. If he accepted, he would step into a world of ancient magic and political intrigue far beyond anything he had faced before. As night fell over Valoria, the palace corridors grew silent, except for the distant hum of energy fields protecting the royal city. Alex realized this was only the beginning of a story much larger than himself. The princess's plea echoed in his mind. "You will share my bed tonight, human." It was a promise and a challenge that would change everything. Alex stood, frozen in the dimly lit chamber, his mind struggling to grasp the weight of Princess Lyra's words. The request she had made, sharing her bed tonight, still echoed like a strange, distant drumbeat in his thoughts, challenging everything he knew about diplomacy and alien customs. At first, he felt a surge of resistance, disbelief clouding his judgment. This was not something a human explorer should be asked, especially by a royal figure in an advanced civilization. Yet beneath his surprise, a stronger feeling grew, a mix of curiosity and a deepening sense of responsibility. Why had fate brought him here? Why had the princess singled him out? Slowly, Alex found himself drawn to Lyra's calm determination. As she led him into a private room, adorned with delicate silks and soft lights that shimmered like stars, it was a place of peace, but also of secrets, a sanctuary hidden away from the watchful eyes of the court. There, she finally revealed the truth behind her desperate play-a secret that few Valorians dared to speak aloud. Valoria was not just a beautiful planet. It was a world living under a shadow, an ancient curse that had haunted their history for centuries. This shadow was no ordinary darkness. It was a consuming force of energy that drained life, hope, and power wherever it touched. The curse had awakened again, spreading slowly but surely, threatening to engulf the planet's core, the very heart of Valoria's strength and spirit. But there was a way to keep this darkness at bay, a rare and sacred bond that could only be formed between a Valorian royal and a human. The origin of this bond was lost in time, a mystery whispered in legends, but its power remained real and unbreakable. It was not simply a matter of sharing a bed as humans might understand it, but a symbolic act or ritual that sealed trust, unity, and mutual protection between two worlds. Through this bond, the energy of light could be summoned, creating a shield strong enough to hold the shadow back. Lyra's eyes searched Alex's face for understanding as she explained that if he refused, the shadow would consume Valoria's heart, leaving the planet vulnerable to ruin and despair. The entire future of her people, her family, and this ancient world rested on his choice. The room seemed to shrink around him as he felt the immense burden settle like a weight on his shoulders. It was more than a personal favor. It was a call to become a guardian, a partner in a fight that was as much about faith and courage as it was about survival. Alex knew that accepting meant stepping beyond the role of explorer or visitor. It meant becoming part of a story far greater than himself, woven into the fate of an alien race with secrets older than human history. Despite the danger, something inside him stirred a quiet flame of hope and determination. He saw in Lyra not only a princess fighting for her world, but a symbol of trust between two very different peoples. Slowly he nodded, his voice steady despite the whirlwind inside him. "I will stay," he said. "Tell me what I need to do." As Lyra smiled with relief and gratitude, a silent understanding passed between them. They were no longer strangers from distant stars. They were allies bound by a destiny neither had chosen but both now embraced. Outside the chamber, the palace remained shrouded in silence. But within those walls, the future of Valoria had begun to change. The night ahead held uncertainties, challenges, and perhaps dangers neither of them could predict. But in that moment, Alex Rider was ready to face whatever came, united with the princess and the secret that only sharing her bed could reveal. Night fell over the palace of Valoria like a soft, dark curtain, wrapping the grand halls and glittering towers in quiet shadows. Inside the private chamber, where Alex and Princess Lyra stayed, the atmosphere was calm, but charged with an electric tension neither could ignore. The two sat together, initially awkward but slowly opening up, exchanging stories about their very different worlds. Alex spoke of Earth's vast oceans, towering cities, and the spirit of human perseverance that had driven him to explore the stars. Lyra shared tales of Valoria's ancient history, the beauty of its forests, the crystal cities, and the deep traditions that shaped her people. With every word, a bridge formed between them, connection that began to close the gap between human and alien. Despite the growing bond, the palace outside was restless. Unseen by its inhabitants, a dark force stirred in the depths beneath the city, feeding on fears and shadows long buried by time. Suddenly, the ground shuddered beneath their feet, a low rumble that echoed through the marble halls and startled the royal guards. The ancient curse, the shadow that had haunted Valoria for centuries, had awakened. From hidden places came creeping darkness, tendrils of shadow stretching out like cold fingers, seeking to drain the life and energy from everything they touched. The very air grew heavy and cold as the palace's protective wards flickered, fighting to hold back the growing threat. Alex and Lyra felt it to a pull, an invisible force attempting to drive them apart, sensing that their bond was the key to its defeat. The shadow's magic was ancient and cruel, a power born of fear and despair, desperate to break the unity between a human and a Valorian royal. But Alex's courage, fueled by his humanity and the trust he had begun to place in Lyra, sparked a light deep inside him. Lyra's own strength, born of her royal blood and unyielding spirit, joined with his in a protective glow that pushed back the darkness inch by inch. Together, they became a living shield, their bond a beacon of hope against the consuming shadow. The battle was unseen by most, fought in the spaces between walls and whispers, but its effects shook the palace to its core. Energy pulsed around. The clash of light and dark creating ripples that shimmered like waves. Though the immediate threat receded, Alex knew the fight was only beginning. The shadow was cunning and patient, waiting for moments of weakness to strike again. Yet in the quiet aftermath, as the palace lights steadied and the night grew still once more, a new feeling took root within him, a fierce determination to protect this strange world and the princess who had trusted him with its fate. The night of shadows had come, and with it, the promise of trials that would test the limits of courage, friendship, and the strength found only when two very different souls stood united against the darkness. The news of the bond between Alex, Ryder, and Princess Lyra spread quickly throughout Valoria, stirring a wave of reactions among the people. For some, it was a beacon of hope, a sign that salvation might finally come to their world after centuries of fear. For others, it was a cause for concern, challenging the ancient traditions that had guided Valorian society for generations. The idea that a human and outsider from a distant star could share the sacred bond with their princess unsettled many nobles and elders. Whispers filled the grand halls and marketplaces, debates sparked by fear of change and the unknown. Yet, despite the doubts, Alex's bravery and willingness to stand beside Lyra during the Shadow's attack began to change minds. His actions proved that humans were not just distant strangers, but potential allies worthy of trust. The two formed an unlikely partnership that became a symbol of new hope and unity. Together, Alex and Lyra set out to gather a coalition, combining Valorian warriors skilled in ancient combat and guardianship with human technology specialists capable of understanding and countering the mysterious forces behind the curse. Group was a mix of old and new, tradition and innovation, united by a common goal: to hunt down the source of the shadow curse and end its threat once and for all. Their journey took them beyond the palace's safety, into the wild forests and ancient ruins scattered across Valoria. With every step, Alex and Lyra uncovered pieces of the planet's hidden history, secrets that had been buried by time and fear. They learned that the curse was not just a random force, but tied to events from Valoria's distant past, betrayals, forgotten wars, and powerful energies locked away beneath the surface. Each discovery deepened the mystery and strengthened their resolve. Along the way, they faced dangers from creatures twisted by the Shadow's influence and traps left behind to protect the ancient secrets. Yet through every challenge, their bond grew stronger, a living example of cooperation between species that was once thought impossible. Their combined strengths, Valorian honor and human determination, showed that unity was the greatest weapon against darkness. As they pressed deeper into the heart of Valoria's mysteries, they began to rewrite the destiny of both worlds. No longer were humans mere explorers or distant legends. They were active partners in shaping the future of an alien civilization. And Valoria, with its rich traditions and powerful heritage, was opening its heart to new possibilities. The path ahead was uncertain and fraught with danger, but Alex and Lyra walked it together, their bond a guiding light in the shadows. With every step forward, they proved that hope, courage, and unity could overcome even the oldest curses and darkest fears. The battle against the ancient shadow curse was long and difficult. But in the end, Alex, Ryder, and Princess Lyra stood together victorious. Their combined strength and unwavering trust having broken the dark spell that threatened Valoria's very existence. The curse, which had cast a shadow over the planet for centuries, was finally defeated not by power alone, but by the bond forged between two very different beings, a human and a Valorian, royal, united by courage, respect, and hope. As dawn broke over the crystal towers of the palace, the people of Valoria gathered to witness a new beginning. Alex and Lyra, once strangers from different worlds, were now heroes celebrated not just for their bravery in battle, but for the symbol they had become, a living example of unity between species, cultures, and galaxies. Their story starting with the fateful night when the princess had pleaded for a human to share her bed. A request many had found strange or shocking had grown into a legend told throughout Valoria and beyond. It was a tale of resilience, trust, and the power of friendship that crossed boundaries no one had dared to cross before. This bond, once questioned and feared, had become the foundation for a new era where humans were no longer outsiders, but honored protectors and partners. In the galaxy's ongoing quest for peace and progress, the victory over the Shadow Curse opened doors between Valoria and Earth that had long remained closed. New channels of communication and cooperation blossomed, bringing scientists, diplomats, and explorers from both worlds together. Technologies were shared, knowledge exchanged, and a spirit of collaboration spread like wildfire, promising a future where the strengths of both civilizations would grow side by side. Alex, who had once set out as a lone explorer, now found himself a bridge between two great cultures. His respect for Valorian traditions and Lyra's openness to human ideas showed that even the greatest differences could be overcome with understanding and shared purpose. As the days passed, Valoria itself began to transform, not just physically but in its heart and mind. The fear and suspicion that had once held the people back were replaced by hope and ambition, fueled by the example set by the princess and the human who answered her call. Yet, even in the light of victory, Alex and Lyra knew that the journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast and filled with mysteries and dangers still waiting to be faced. But now, with their bond as a symbol and a source of strength, they were ready to face whatever challenges came next. The new dawn for two worlds was not only a moment of celebration, but a promise that, together, humans and Valorians could protect the galaxy and build a future brighter than any had imagined. As they stood side by side overlooking the rising suns, their hearts filled with hope and determination, they understood that their story was just the beginning of something greater. A future where friendship, trust, and unity would light the way through the darkness, and where the legacy of a human and an alien princess would inspire generations to come. The galaxy was watching, and a new era had truly begun.